Now we finally found some Latin. You see, this is a really neat statue. You see the one face? If you look closer, there's a face there. One up there too. There's another one. There's another one, and another one.
Mount Nebo, the Prophet Mountain, the translation, Jabal al-Nabi. And Siaga is the name of the area, the region where we're going later. Memorial of Moses, a Christian holy place. And as we mentioned, the three religions again. It's not only Christian, but also Muslims and Jews sometimes. You see them all together in the same spot. So they agree on this side. So we say religion always agree, but people disagree. He's a Bedouin shepherd. Yes, he's from my tribe anyway.
Yes.
Yeah, his name is Muhammad Deeb. He found them in 1947. He died 10 years ago from cancer. You know his sons, we play football with his sons sometimes. Yes. We live in the same neighborhood. He died as a poor man. He found the most expensive
scroll. And he sold them for $100.
And he sold them for 30 Palestinian pounds at that time. Anyway, the story, he was 16 years old. When he found them by chance. Now the story you just said, it's written in the book. I heard a different story from him. That he didn't throw a stone and he lost a goat, he said? Yeah, the story said from him, he said, we were sitting in the spring. Down there in the spring is very hot. In winter it's very hot. And he was sitting in the shade. You know, he's just 16 years old, a young man. And the young man, what is he? He doesn't have a TV or a phone, nothing. Or something to play with. So he just was throwing stones in a hole, we call it taga, just to busy himself. And he was throwing stones like this, and there's something broken. He tried to jump in, he couldn't. He went back to his tribe, Al-Arab, and he brought the next morning his cousin. And he helped them to go up, and they found big jars with the scrolls. They took them, and they went back to the tent where they live, the area. And his mother used some of the scrolls to make the fire. Yeah, she used some of the scrolls to make the fire. He was only 16 years old. Unfortunately, he didn't know what he found. He can't read, he can't write. Later on, they sold him to, I think, a monk or a priest. He bought them from Bethlehem. Later on, it was taken by the Jordanian government. He sold them only for 30 Palestinian pounds. When you hear 30 Palestinian pounds, it's nothing. It's like 4,000 or 5,000 nowadays. You understand? He bought a lot of goats and sheep. He got married maybe also. And then they were taken by the Jordanian government. They brought some of them in Jerusalem Museum. Later on, some of them were brought to the Archaeological Museum, the one you'll go later. They were made from leather and copper. They are written by a group of religious people they call the Essenians or the Essens. Okay? Unfortunately, the ones in Jerusalem Museum was taken by the Israeli troops in the 67 war. In the 67 war, this was East Bank, Jerusalem, or Palestine, East Bank of the river. And the West Bank, and this is the East Bank. So it was the Confederation, the Trans-Jordan. West Bank, East Bank. So it was part from Jordan. And Jerusalem was like the major capital of the Trans-Jordan at that time. I mean, the cultural capital. The original capital was Amman, the Trans-Jordan. But in 1967, the war between the Israeli and the Jordanian, a special squad under the control of Sharon, they just went to the museum especially, and they took the scroll. Fortunately, we moved some of them to the museum in Amman.
This mosaic is absolutely beautiful. It is actually the floor of someone's house. It's very, very interesting. You see here the 4 trees. It's a common theme you'll see in mosaics, where it has 4 different kinds of fruits. The animals are very interesting in the mosaic too. So you see that's a rabbit, but it kind of doesn't exactly look like one. The feet are a little different, so I'm not sure exactly what's going on with that. But we move on and look this way. This is my favorite on here. It's the lion. He's pretty cool. Right now he's eating the arrow of the hunter who tried to kill him. And you go up here and you see a dog and a rabbit, and we've been told that the mosaics, it's oftentimes showing depiction of life and humans' interactions with surroundings and nature. Up here is another animal. It's a little hard to tell what exactly it is. We're not too sure. And up here, there's some more. Over here is an interesting mosaic. It is a horse, goat, fish. This border is very, very pretty. Yeah, this is just an overall very unique mosaic. And yes, the theme for today will be mosaics. example of how Mosaic tells the stories. You can see this one right here in the middle. Those are people who are crushing grapes for wine. And if you look back a little bit right here, you see someone who is leading a donkey who's carrying grapes so that they can crush them for wine. And then there's a person playing some music, just as customary at the time, but there's more grapes with the wine. So, yeah, that's just going to give you an idea of how Mosaics tell stories.
Madaba, the city of the Mosaic over here, and this is the only city in Jordan we do the Mosaic. We have something called old technique, like this piece, and we have something called a new technique. We're going to start with the new technique. The new technique, the most important thing, we bring like a plastic like this, and use the plastic mesh like this. Here in Jordan we have a lot of kind of stone. All these natural stones, we bring it from Petra, Jarash, Aqaba, and Dead Sea. Each one of those stones, they have different name and different color. But each one of those stones, they have a two sides. They have a soft side and they have a rough side. Yeah, the rough side from here. You see the rough side? Yeah, that's why they have a soft side and they have a rough side. Here with the new technique, after we cut the stone, like you see in small pieces, we use a chemical glue. We call it super glue, like this one over there. And then this is the one we start gluing the stone one by one. The new technique, like this piece, this is example. This is, you see the soft side of the stone, we glue it, and the glue from here in the back. After we finish, we can take the plastic, we can glue it, you can hang in the wall, you can use it in the kitchen to put anything hot, anything cold in it, or you can frame it. And the good thing about the new technique, very flexible. You can hold it like this. Yeah, and you can carry it with you anywhere. On the other side here, we have the old technique. The old technique over here, the most important thing, if you want to be close, we bring like a wood board like this one. We cover it with a white sheet. We prepare it where it's going to be comfortable for the eyes, for the girls. And after that, we start drawing the picture. This one example, like this is the most picture we have. This is called the tree of life. For this one, like you see, we have to draw the picture first. After we draw the picture, we start cut the stone in small pieces, and we start glue it one by one. But here with the old technique, we use natural glue. This is only flour and water. Yeah, flour and water, they mix it together. Yes, and because this is the old technique, we have to do it the same way. They do it like 3,000 to 4,000 years ago. So that's why the flour and water, we start glue it one by one. But this kind of glue, just we use it temporarily, just to hold the stone next to each other. Because after we finish, we bring like a frame, wood frame or iron frame, and the most important thing, we bring something called the white cement. The white cement, we mix it with the sand to cover the piece to make it very strong. But here, if you touch it, you feel this is the rough side, not the soft side of the stone. Yeah. Why? Because this is the back of the picture. It means after we finish, we have to flip up and down to see the soft side of the stone.